All right, get ready to dive into a future that is both dazzling and disturbing. We're going to explore excerpts from two versions of a fictional story. Does Kalki dream of virtual cows? And Sueña Kalki con vacas virtuales, the Spanish counterpart.
Yeah, sounds fascinating.
It is. So get ready to step into a world dominated by virtual reality, where religion has taken on a whole new form, and the lines between what's real and what's simulated are blurred beyond recognition.
You know, what's so striking about these excerpts is just how they just plunge you into a society that's grappling with this aftermath of a virtual war. It's a world just completely saturated with advanced technology, telepathy. They call it holographic inference. They've got these incredibly lifelike androids and even helmets that are designed for spiritual connection.
Yeah, it's like they have all of this amazing technology, but they're also having to deal with these psychological and societal scars of this devastating conflict.
Right.
And then you've got this whole concept of the Inframundo, which sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, the Inframundo, it seems to represent this dark underbelly of this technologically advanced society. It's this lawless zone where those who can't or won't conform, they just end up there.
Oh.
It makes you wonder what happens to those who are, left behind or rejected by a society that's so obsessed with progress and virtual reality.
And then right in the center of all of this is Kalki, this messianic figure who's supposed to be an avatar of Vishnu.
Oh, wow.
Like they took this ancient religious concept and just plugged it into their hyper-futuristic world.
Makes you really think about that enduring human need for something to believe in.
Yeah.
Even in a world that feels increasingly artificial.
Definitely.
This idea of an avatar, like descending to guide humanity. It's powerful. And it speaks to our desire for meaning and purpose and connection, when we're faced with all this uncertainty.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The story reveals that Kalki is actually Barry Bailey.
Yeah.
An actor hired to play the part of this divine being.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a manufactured deity.
That really raises a fascinating question. Like, if a god is intentionally created, does that invalidate people's faith? And what does it do to Barry himself? To have to live with that knowledge that you're essentially a manufactured deity.
Right.
I mean, the psychological implications of that are mind-boggling.
Yeah, and then it gets even weirder because the story describes how Barry ends up becoming Kalki twice.
Oh.
First, it's orchestrated by this mysterious organization called the System Rita to create a new world order after the virtual war. And then out of nowhere, he's worshipped by this real-world cult.
So that's where you start to see the unintended consequences of trying to control belief. Even when these powerful forces are trying to manipulate faith, people's innate desire for meaning, it just finds its own outlets, and those are often really unpredictable.
Sure.
It makes you wonder, can you ever truly manufacture belief? Or will it always find a way to break free from that intended mold?
And then you have Barry's relationship with Lupe, which takes a really strange turn. It starts with her almost as like a mother figure to him.
Okay.
But then she creates this whole Kalki cult and essentially forces Barry to become the object of their worship.
So their relationship, it's full of this psychological tension. On one level, it seems to be about Lupe's desire for power and control.
Yeah.
But it also hints at something deeper, like the way that faith can be twisted into obsession and the blurring of boundaries between like devotion and manipulation. It definitely raises some red flags.
Yeah, and let's not forget about the heart monster imagery that keeps popping up in connection with their relationship. That's some seriously disturbing stuff.
Yeah, the heart monster, it seems to symbolize the dark side of human desire. It's like this visual representation of how love, or at least what starts as love, can become distorted and monstrous when it gets mixed with power and obsession and this warped sense of spirituality.
Okay, so we've got this world that's reeling from a virtual war, a manufactured god, and this creepy heart monster lurking in the background.
Right.
Things are about to get even more intense because the story culminates with Barry's true identity as Kalki being revealed to the whole world. Buckle up.
Buckle up. I'm ready. I can only imagine the fallout when that truth about Kalki hits the fan. This whole society that's built on this idea of a divine avatar, they suddenly have to confront the fact that their god was nothing more than an illusion, like a carefully constructed illusion.
Yeah, and that's where these two new characters enter the scene.
Okay.
Abraham Cohen, a Kabbalist and magician, and Astrid Carroll, a synthetic woman.
Wow.
And they basically orchestrate this whole end-of-the-world event. Talk about a power move.
Yeah, their motivations are really intriguing. It seems like they want to expose the artificiality of the system, like to shake people out of their blind faith in this manufactured reality. They're almost like revolutionaries, using this staged apocalypse as a way to force humanity to confront the truth about itself.
So amidst all this chaos, Barry ends up fleeing into the Inframundo, which, if you remember, is this desolate zone filled with society's outcasts. It's almost poetic in a way, like the fallen god seeking refuge in the darkest corners of existence.
It's interesting how the Inframundo, which initially seems like this symbol of decay and despair, might actually offer Barry a chance for redemption. Here, stripped of this manufactured identity, he's forced to confront his own humanity and to grapple with the consequences of his actions.
And it's not just Barry who's transforming. The Inframundo itself seems to be undergoing this strange metamorphosis. It's described as this dense, suffocating darkness. But as Barry journeys deeper, it starts to become like lighter, almost luminous. It's as if his presence is somehow affecting the very fabric of that space.
Wow, that's a really powerful image. It speaks to the idea that our internal states can have this ripple effect on the world around us. Like Barry's journey into the depths of the Inframundo, it mirrors his own internal transformation.
Yeah.
As he sheds that false persona and confronts that darkness within himself, the darkness of that environment also begins to dissolve.
And within this transformed Inframundo, Barry encounters another character who was deeply affected by the virtual war.
Oh.
And this character shares a heartbreaking story of watching his parents become trapped in this virtual reality nightmare. Their minds, like infected by a virus, reliving their deaths over and over again.
Oh, gosh.
It really highlights the devastating and lasting impact of trauma, especially when it plays out in the virtual realm.
Yeah, this character's experience, it raises all sorts of questions about the nature of reality and the potential for technology to not only shape our experiences, but to warp our perceptions and inflict lasting psychological wounds. It makes you think about the ethical implications of virtual reality and how we need to be so mindful of those potential risks as we just become increasingly reliant on these technologies.
And in the midst of all this darkness and despair, Barry finds a genuine connection with this other character. Stripped of his godhood, he's finally able to offer companionship and understanding on a human level. It suggests that true meaning and connection aren't found in power or status, but in those moments of shared vulnerability and empathy.
That's such a crucial point. The story seems to be saying that genuine human connection can blossom even in the most desolate of places.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even when everything seems lost, there's always that potential for hope and healing and the rediscovery of our shared humanity.
So let's recap. We've got a staged apocalypse, a manufactured god seeking refuge in the darkest corners of existence, and a world grappling with the shattering of its illusions. Where do things go from there?
Well, this is where the story takes an interesting turn. While the world is reeling from the revelation about Kalki, Abraham, and Astrid, along with Cassandra, they're already working on a new system, like a new paradigm to replace the one that they just destroyed. It makes you wonder, can you really dismantle a system of control without creating another one in its place?
And meanwhile, Barry seems to have found a kind of peace within the Inframundo. He's shed his false identity, confronted his past, and formed a genuine connection with another human being.
Yeah.
But we're left with this lingering question. Is this truly a resolution for Barry? Or is it just another layer of illusion?
That ambiguity is part of what makes the story so thought-provoking. It doesn't offer easy answers or neat resolutions. Instead, it leaves us with this sense of both hope and uncertainty.
Right.
Barry seems content in the Inframundo, but he's also isolated. He's cut off from the world he once knew. Is this true liberation? Or just another form of escape? It's a question that each of us has to answer for ourselves.
And there's this one final, almost mystical moment where Barry thinks he sees Ananda, his long-lost love, within the Inframundo. But it's never confirmed whether it's real or just a hallucination, a projection of his own desires.
That ambiguity is so fascinating, isn't it? It speaks to the power of the human mind to create its own realities, especially in the face of loss and isolation.
Right.
It makes you wonder about the nature of hope and the persistence of memory. Can we find solace and even love within the landscapes of our own imagination, even when everything we thought we knew is gone?
Wow.
Wow.
That's a powerful image to end on. It leaves us with so much to ponder.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even in a world like dominated by technology and virtual reality, the human heart, it still yearns for connection, for meaning, and a sense of belonging.
It really makes you think about how we create our own realities,
Doesn't it?
both individually and as a society, and how those realities can be so easily manipulated, especially in a world where technology is constantly blurring those lines between what's real and what's simulated.
Yeah, that's a key takeaway here. These excerpts, they don't shy away from exploring the darker side of technological advancement. They force us to confront those ethical dilemmas that arise when we start to manipulate belief, control narratives, and create entire realities within that digital realm.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, are we truly in control of technology, or is it starting to control us?
I'm feeling a bit unsettled, but also incredibly stimulated by these stories. It's like they've thrown a whole bunch of puzzle pieces in the air,
Yeah.
and now we're left to try and make sense of it all.
And that's the beauty of speculative fiction. It's not about providing those easy answers or tidy resolutions. It's about pushing the boundaries of our imagination, challenging our assumptions, and provoking us to think deeply about the world that we're creating.
So before we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what stood out to you the most from these excerpts? Was it the technology, the religious elements, the psychological complexities of the characters? What really grabbed your attention?
For me, it's the exploration of the Inframundo.
Mhm.
It's this space that embodies both decay and possibility. At first, it seems like a symbol of everything that's wrong with this future society. The outcasts, the discarded, the forgotten.
Yeah.
But then it becomes a place of transformation. A crucible where Barry confronts his past, sheds that manufactured identity, and finds a genuine connection with another human being.
Wow.
It makes you wonder if sometimes we have to journey into the darkest corners of ourselves, or even of society, in order to find true meaning and connection.
That's such a profound insight. It's like the inframundo is both a literal and metaphorical space.
Yeah.
A physical location within the story, but also a representation of our own internal landscapes. Those places within ourselves where we might need to confront our shadows and embrace our vulnerabilities in order to grow.
Exactly. And that's a theme that resonates far beyond the confines of these fictional excerpts.
Right.
It speaks to the human condition itself, our capacity for both darkness and light, our need for connection and belonging, and our ability to find meaning and purpose even in the most unexpected places.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to leave you with a final thought-provoking question inspired by this deep dive. If even a manufactured god, someone whose entire existence was orchestrated and controlled, can find genuine connection and meaning in the most desolate of places, what does that tell us about the search for truth and purpose in our own lives? Maybe it's not about finding the right answers or achieving some predefined level of success or enlightenment, but about embracing the journey itself, the complexities and contradictions and the messy, beautiful reality of being human.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, I encourage you to keep exploring. Dive deeper into the world of speculative fiction. Research the concept of avatars and different religious traditions, or consider the ethical implications of virtual reality and its growing influence on our lives. The possibilities for further exploration are endless.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.